Khorne here, and today I will be making a video to clarify why I dislike recruiting certain units. In my previous video on the topic of units I don't recruit, based on the feedback, I don't think many people understood why. As the primary example for this video, I will be using Slayers because they were the most hotly contested choice out of everything, which was honestly a shock to me, as I expected them to be the most obvious choice. So when I say I don't like recruiting a unit, I don't mean the unit is unusable, although in some cases that could be said. What I mean is that the unit either takes too long to recruit for what it does, or requires multiple buildings, has poor performance in comparison to other units in your roster, doesn't suit your faction's playstyle, or doesn't benefit your armies, and even reduces your chances of victory. For example, steam tanks take 3 turns to recruit. Unfortunately for them, there are 2 units that perform its role of tanking and dealing damage much better: Heroes and Hellstorm rocket batteries. In the case of Slayers, they are a prime example of everything else. They are a high cost, high balance of power unit that can deal good damage, but they also die in the process, which lowers your balance of power rating, making it harder to win battles. Dwarfs aren't a rush faction that needs fast units or damage dealing melee infantry. What dwarves need are sturdy infantry that can hold the line indefinitely while your ranged contingent deals all the damage. The same logic applies to all ranged factions, which is why I say cavalry is worthless in range heavy armies. You just don't need it. Dwarves also have very low casualty replenishment rates, so having a unit that will lose a lot of its entities in every battle is counterintuitive. Slayers are also not cheap, both in terms of recruit cost and upkeep cost, while Dwarf Warriors are a cheaper unit that synergizes well with the rest of the Dwarf roster and playstyle, making them a much better choice. Ironbreakers are an exception to the rule of taking too long to recruit, as they are well worth their recruit cost and duration. Slayers are a good unit only when they are in Ungrim's army, but even then, they are too expensive for what they do and are just a meme unit. I have also set up a battle to showcase where I have fully decked out Slayers in Ungrim's army. Fully experienced, every technology researched, every unique skill line, and every red line skills that will go up against a combined force of Warriors of Chaos army and Norscan settlement garrison. Auto resolve gives you a fair victory with medium casualties, and when I fight the battle, I get the same result. Going into encamp stats, my units won't fully recover over the end turn, even with every possible casualty replenishment bonus. Next, I used what I would consider the optimal dwarf army, with good melee infantry to hold the line and a decent range contingent to dish out damage. You will also notice that almost all of these units are tier 2 units, which are a tier below Slayers, which makes them much cheaper. They are also not being fully boosted by my lord's red line, as I'm missing Tactician for Quarlos, and I have none of the rank 7 red lines for my units. There are also 2 Longbeards that aren't rank 7 yet, and my lord has no unique skills to boost his army. The auto resolve gives me a valiant defeat, but when I fight the battle and wait for the enemy to come to me, slowing down the enemy fast units with my hero's abilities, while my infantry holds the enemy back, if my infantry ever gets too heavily damaged, I will pull them back and use the reserves to cover the gaps. I win the battle with a close victory, and all the damage I took I can heal instantly in 1 turn. If you're enjoying the video thus far, please consider subscribing. Now back to the video. Finally, many comments said you only need 1 or 2 Slayers to change the tide of battle, which is true, as they will lower your chances of winning. I did a 3rd battle where I replaced 2 Longbeards with Slayers, which are the same tier as Longbeards but have a higher upkeep cost, meaning they have more balance of power value. The battle starts off a bit more chaotic than the previous one. I use the Slayers in their intended anti-large role, kill off a Chaos Knight unit, and then flank the enemy infantry in a hammer and anvil. Very soon, the Norscans surround my Slayers and almost completely wipe them out. The rest of my infantry take much more severe casualties than in the previous battle, and my front line almost crumbles, as I have no reserves to bolster their ranks. In the end, I get a close victory, same as last time, but with much more casualties and units that will not replenish to full in not just one turn, but in 2 turns. There is no room for Slayers in dwarf armies in my opinion, as they do not fit the dwarf playstyle. They are a meme unit and nothing more. Having Slayers in your armies diminishes your chances of winning rather than increasing them. Another example of this is having Cavalry in missile-heavy armies. There really is no need for them. They have a big balance of power, but can't deliver the damage to justify it. In this situation here, I have a missile-heavy army with 2 Jade Lancer units. I'm going up against low-tier armies that don't pose much of a threat. All of the work gets done by the ranged units and infantry that hold the line. At the end, I get a perfect hammer and anvil situation to showcase the glory of cavalry units. And as expected, they just can't perform. Instead of dealing damage, they just end up taking damage and losing balance of power. And this is the logic I use when making armies and deciding which units I want to recruit. Flavor units are fine to recruit, but that doesn't mean they will perform well or help you achieve victory. If you have fun recruiting these units, I'm not trying to diminish it, but that doesn't change the fact that they simply are bad units. I hope you now have a better understanding of how to determine which units perform well and which don't. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and until next time.